So, before I start talking about my stuff, you know, usually after these election days, we look sad, we look miserable, people start threatening to leave the country. And then even if we win, people say, oh, well, you know, but we still have problems or whatever. It's almost like we're afraid to be happy about something. But I'll tell you this, we can be happy today. We can be happy today. We have Pombo is gone. Allen is gone. Roseville didn't make it to lunch. The brother went to work. He didn't even make it to lunch. Got fired before lunch. I saw the cover of the New York Times and it said, Roosevelt resigns, Bush pledges to work with new Democratic majority. And I was like, is this The Onion? I mean, so we can be happy today. And at the same time, I want to talk about some of the challenges we're going to have now, okay? We have helped to build this incredible, beautiful, pro-democracy movement. Don't say it was the Democratic Party. It wasn't the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party still can't figure out what happened. This was a grassroots, pro-democracy movement that was opposing 6 years of right-wing, one-party rule, and it triumphed the hard way with ordinary people, thousands of grassroots donors and activists. This was a tremendous victory for the human family. This is what it was. What it restores, though, is bipartisanship. What it restores is bipartisanship. And for those of you who are old enough to remember the 90s, anybody remember the 90s? That beautiful utopia called the Clinton-Gore administration, where they built more prisons than ever been built in the history of the world, where they eliminated welfare rights, where they eliminated affirmative action, where they attacked immigrants every other year. You know, just getting to the place of bipartisanship is not enough. We have a long way to go toward freedom, and we cannot be distracted from the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal of this movement that you are building is to build a pro-democracy movement that's strong enough to defeat these authoritarians and clear the way for building a green economy that's strong enough to lift people out of poverty. A green economy that's strong enough to lift people out of poverty. That's where we're going today. That's where we're going today. And I want to thank each and every one of you in this room. Many of you are people who have been the innovators. You've been the entrepreneurs. You've been the early adopters. You've been the people who've been able to see around corners. Some of your colleagues and roommates and housemates and family members kind of snickered a little bit at you. And now you're being proved right. Both political parties now are stealing your themes. Both political parties now are saying they're for clean energy. Even old George Allen was running, a racist idiot, was running talking about clean energy and energy independence. Both political parties, every major corporation is now adopting your themes. That poses for you, for everyone in here, a moral challenge. You are now faced with a moral challenge. For the first time, many of us who have been on the fringe have a clear pathway into the center. It's one thing to be on the fringe where nobody wants you. It's one thing to be not at the party and you're not invited anyway. But everything you've been talking about for the past 10 or 20 years is now being adopted by the mainstream. And you're going to be invited, and your ideas are going to be invited, and all of us are going to be invited. There's only one question now. Who are we going to bring with us, and who are we going to leave behind? Who are we going to bring with us now? And who are we going to leave behind? Who are we going to bring with us?
Everybody!
And who are we going to leave behind? So I want to talk to you about how we do that. I want to talk to you about how we do that. How we build a green economy that's strong enough to lift people out of poverty. How we build an inclusive movement for sustainability, and how we get there together. So first, welcome. We are in the middle of the third wave of environmentalism. This is the third wave. We're at the beginning of it. The first wave was the conservation wave. You remember that? Teddy Roosevelt, you had thousands of years, maybe millions of years of good environmental stewardship in North America. Beautiful. And then something happened. And for some reason, people started cutting stuff down, they started paving over the whole continent, and people said, no, we need to conserve what we have. And that was beautiful in its day. Next came the regulation wave. 1963, Rachel Carson writes a book called Silent Spring. And in that book she says it's not just about other species, it's about the human species. We're poisoning ourselves. We're toxifying ourselves. We've got to do something. And out of that you get the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, this whole beautiful wave of environmental regulation. And that was important. Something happened in that wave, though, that was very disturbing. Something happened in that wave that was very disturbing. For a moment, it looked like white polluters and white environmentalists were beginning to subconsciously work together to put all the pollution in the black and brown communities, to put all the toxic facilities in the poor communities. And in the 1980s, a movement stood up and said, no, regulate, yes, but do it with equity. Don't poison our children. Don't make the black and brown children of America bear the brunt of the poison. And that movement was called the Environmental Justice Movement. The Environmental Justice Movement. And that movement completed and helped to fill out this beautiful motion to try to regulate some of the problems. But it leaves a lesson that if we're not careful, even our best efforts, even our strongest attempt to do good, if we're not careful, we're not thoughtful, we don't include everybody, can wind up doing harm. Now we are at the beginning of a third wave. And that third wave is conservation, yes, plus regulation of the problem. Regulation of bad things, yes, plus investment in the solution. Investment in solar power. Investment in biodiesel. Investment in organic agriculture. Investment in hybrid technologies. Investment in the clean, green technologies of the future. What this means is that we have for the first time the opportunity to talk about environmentalism in a way that's not about regulating bad stuff, it's about creating good stuff. And when that happened, and as that's happening now, it completely changes what's possible. We see three possible futures. The first possible future is what we call eco-apocalypse. That would be the bad one. Okay, so pay attention. That would be to be avoided. What is eco-apocalypse? Eco-apocalypse means we keep doing what we're doing. We keep running the economy by turning beautiful living things into dead things and calling that economic growth. That's what our economy is. We turn living things into dead things faster and faster and call it economic growth. It's a suicide economy. And they're saying now we have about till 2050 before we're done with that economy and with all life. So that's to be avoided. But there's another option, which I think we are fast closing in on, which you could call eco-apartheid. This is the danger. When you say eco-apartheid, what are you talking about? I'm talking about a society in which we have ecological haves and ecological have-nots. You say, well, how could that possibly be? Welcome to the Bay Area. Welcome to the Bay Area. You can go to Marin County right now, and you'll find bio this and organic that and solar everything and hybrid the other. And 15 minutes later in a car, you can be in Oakland, California, where there's an asthma epidemic, the last century pollution-based economy, and people struggling to get the last century pollution-based jobs. That's eco-apartheid. That's eco-apartheid. And it will not work. It's immoral, and it will not work. Until the majority of people can be a part of a green economy, the green economy will fail. But if we can find a way to include the majority of people in a green economy, we can get you eco-equity. We can get you eco-equity. And that's where we're trying to go. And that's where we have the power to get you. And the people in this room have the power to get us there. Let me show you a quick grid to make this even more concrete. The old economy is what you call the gray economy, the pollution-based and poison-based economy. The economy we're trying to get you is a green economy that's not based on that, it's based on life. And everybody's talking about that dynamic, moving from problem to solution. What they're not talking about, and what hasn't been discussed, is this other axis, what we call the rich to poor. The rich to poor dynamic. This is the axis of privilege. This is the axis of opportunity, of race, of class. When rich people begin to talk about the gray economy, often their concerns, top of mind, are what? Spotted owls, the Arctic Circle melting, very big events that begin to shape and begin to impact the global system. You might think about it as polar bears drowning in the Arctic Circle. And that is a tragedy, and we have to do something about it, because if they go, we go.